Good evening, people, and sorry about the wait. And welcome to the official topic talk. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit the like buttons, people. Today we've got Emma and we've got Maria. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Steve.
I know you both got a message that you need to put out there. Which one would like to go first, Emma? Would you like to?
Maria's going to speak, I think, she said.
Yeah. Well, my message is really, I just want everyone who's watching to monitor the kids' devices, because my team, what we do is we monitor live streaming apps like TikTok, OK Live, Buzzcast, Live Up. There's many more. Star Maker, which is a karaoke one as well, which we know there's predators on there. We used to be like any other team where we used decoys, but then when COVID came, teams couldn't go out stinging, and so we started monitoring the live streaming apps. And these live streaming apps aren't for children; they're for 18-year-olds, but kids get on them. And also TikTok, which a lot of kids use. There's a simple link to Buzzcast, and even if they've got Google Parental Control, it'll still bypass it, and they'll get onto this app, which is an 18+ app, which is really bad. So what we do when we find a kid on these really bad apps is we find them on social media or find the parents, and then we inform them of the app that they're on before anything happens. But a lot of the times children do expose on there, and obviously we have to get the police involved, then it's really bad. So I just want parents to monitor their children's devices more, really, because I think they just don't realise that predators aren't on the corners anymore. They're actually in your children's bedrooms, when you're not watching, and they are. And it's scary, isn't it? But it happens a lot.
Is there any particular apps out there, Maria, that parents can look for to be able to control their children's devices?
There's an app called Parental Control, and it's free as well. And that's a real good one. But as I said, if they're already monitoring TikTok, they still need to check the kids' devices because of this simple link that'll then take them onto an adult website. So they still need to monitor it. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I was wondering, for the parents out there that aren't clued up, and you've got that knowledge there. So there is actually devices that parents can control the children's phones or tablets
when you
keep it safe.
Yeah, when you get this app, you just so basically when you get a new phone this Christmas for your children, automatically link it up to this app with your phone. Anything that they download comes to your email address, and you have to authorize it, not the children. And on some apps that you can pay for, and they're not that much, there's something like £20 a month, and I know that's a lot for these days, but to keep your children safe, it's not, because you can monitor 10 devices at once on it, so
Maria,
it is good.
Evening, Ronan, thanks for joining us.
Maria, sorry, I just wanted to just say this. There's a free one that you can use, and we've just put it on our son's new phone. He got his new phone. He's 8. He's 8. It's his first phone, and he needs one. And it's called Family Link, and it's through Google, and it controls everything. It's free.
It's good. Yeah, that parental control link, it is good.
No, it's fantastic.
Within your work, Maria, do you find that there's a lot of children that are being followed and being harassed online, like via these apps?
definitely. But unfortunately, it happens within days on these apps. It happens really quick that they groom them. It's really sick. Yeah. But it happens I'd say about, in my team, on average, about 3 times a week, we see a child that's been exploited online and we have to call the police. That's just on average. And that's just my team alone.
I mean, it's devastating to think that, you know, these men out there, you know, you know, they need help to overcome, you know, these things that have got into their minds, that they're into children. It's a very, very dangerous place, the internet, isn't it, Marie?
It is. I don't think the men can ever get help for it. It's a preference. It's what they're like, innit? It's what they fancy. I know that's sick, but it's the truth.
And I mean, every child has the right, you know, to access the internet. You know, so I'll say to all parents out there, regularly check your children's devices and seek advice. I mean, Maria's got some knowledge there that she can pass on to you, to give you the extra knowledge how to keep your children safe online. I'll put a link in the description box at the end of this live.
It's absolutely disgusting, the fact that you know, we're living in 2022 and kids are still in this vulnerable situation where they're being targeted by disgusting demons on the internet. And I don't even think there's a cure for it. There's no cure. It's just some people are good, some people are bad, and some people are evil, and some people just deserve not be on this planet. And anybody doing that to kids, well, you know, it's disgusting. I don't understand somebody's thinking. There's women, there's men. What's it with all this about preferences and stuff? Like, there's nothing. It's an evilness. It's an evilness, in my opinion. And you know, there's even the role play. Go find a woman that's in the role play. Don't be destroying some kid's life for your own gratification. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with you there, Ronan. I mean, the only thing that parents can really do, you know, is you know, regularly check their devices.
Bit of back feed there, mate. You're getting a bit of back feed.
Is it mine or is it Maria's?
I'm not sure. I've took off my YouTube app there, just so it's not coming from me. But if there's somebody's got a YouTube
off as well.
Is it coming off me?
I think it's Maria's. I'm not sure.
Is it me? Is it me? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Are you on earphones with the mic? Are you, Maria?
No, it work, would it?
Have you got the YouTube app in the background playing?
No. Listen. And Emma can talk anyway, because what Emma's got to say is reality in it. So we'll let
Maria,
Emma
thank
talk.
you so much. And I'll put your link in the description for any parents that are watching. You know, if you want a bit more advice, I can direct you to Maria, and she can talk to you one-to-one, and give you every bit of advice through her knowledge, to help you keep your children safe while they're online.
100%. Maria is one of the good ones. She does her job properly.
Yes,
Emma, I know you've got a lot going on in your world at the moment, and I'm sure the people would like to hear, you know, what you've been going through, and what's happened. So, Emma, I'll give you the floor.
Right, it was some time ago that this happened to me, around 5 years, I think. At the time, I was really messed up. I'd come out of a violent relationship where I'd been stabbed and stuff. And a friend from school's brother came to the house and said he'd been fighting, which I could tell he had been fighting because he had blood on him and stuff. And he said, "Can I get washed before I go home?" And I thought he meant wash any blood off him in case police were around or whatever. So I said, "Yeah." I said, "But you both wait there and I'll go upstairs and get you some soap and a towel." They both followed me up the stairs in my house, where they proceeded to rip what clothing I had on off me while referring to me as a 6-year-old, saying, "Tell Daddy how old you are you 6?" And a lot more disgusting things with relevance to a 6-year-old as well. They then pulled out a mobile phone and started playing a video of two very young children, Thai children, being abused by, do you know them pearly kings and queens in London with the buttons all over them? He had one of them hats on, and 2 young girls were getting horrific things done to them. I was really, really scared. I knew one of them had a weapon on him. I thought they were going to stab me dog if the dog realised I was scared and stuff like that. Anyway, to cut a long one short, it went on and on and on to the point where they managed to push me into the bedroom and different things, which I've allowed you to put a letter up, Steve, explaining what happened.
Emma sent me some documentation as regards to this hideous, horrible, dirty crime, which I will put one page up on the screen for you guys to have a read, just to show you the evidence that's there to back up Emma's story 2,000,000%. I've told Emma she don't need to, I can put that out after the show. But I'm just going to put it up on the screen quickly for you guys to see the trauma that these two beasts have put Emma through in her life, and she's still suffering today. And that's why I've asked Emma and Maria to come on, because the awareness needs to be told. And to make matters even worse, people, the perpetrator, I think legally I can't mention any names, but the perpetrator is actually on the YouTube platform.
Yeah. And so what happened was I had no self-worth at the time about myself. I was severely depressed and different things through, obviously, I'd been in that violent relationship. So I had no self-worth. I wasn't bothered about me, but couldn't get the children out of my head that I'd seen on this phone thing they had. So I knew I needed to go to the police. But at the time, I've said this story for the church, so it's been out there. To get through the day, I was taking and selling little bits of speed and coke. So I thought I had no right to go to the police, if you like, but I knew I needed to do something with them referring to me as a 6-year-old, and they both had children. So I knew I needed to go to the police, but I didn't know how to at the time. So I anonymously decided to ring the police and say, "Look, can you check the phone to these people?" I don't know what that is. Do you?
That StreamYard, it's terrible. It has all these interferences. It's a terrible app to stream from.
Right. Yeah, so as soon as I mentioned the name of the main one on the phone, I could tell the police were trying to keep me on the phone a little bit longer, so I panicked and put the phone down. Within, I'd say, about 10 minutes, there was a knock at the door, and it was 2 police officers. Well, they were from the major crime unit. They said to trace the call. The person that I'd mentioned was known to them, and I needed to speak to them because it was a serious matter. So I decided to speak to the police and tell them exactly what happened. I did video evidence, which was traumatic. The police were fully behind me 1,000,000%, because, like I said, they'd had other reports about this person, but had never been able to see anything through. So he said, we've definitely, the head of the major crime unit, the policeman said, we've definitely got him here, Emma, because of you doing this evidence. And to put me in touch with this Arch North East, which was sexual rape and violence counsellors and stuff, they were really good. I had to move from my home because obviously before they were arrested. Then the next thing is all going on, you know how long these things take. And the policeman came out the house and he said, this CPS woman is wanting to know, because when I got attacked, they turned the light off and there was 2 of them touching me at the same time while referring to me as a 6-year-old. And the CPS woman wanted to know who and what hands were touching where at what time. And when you're trying to get hands off you in the dark, it's pretty hard work to determine which one's touching you at what time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So she didn't take it forward on them grounds. But I was paid criminal injuries because the police said they had sufficient evidence to pay me the criminal injuries out. You can only get criminal injuries if there's enough evidence of the police. So, in other words, these people are still walking around. One of them's turned up at my church where I go, because after that I had a nervous breakdown. I went to church, and it was the best thing I ever did. I changed my life around and everything. But one of them is now at my church. So the church leader came to me and said, he's been baptised. How do you feel about it? And I said, has he repented of what he did to me? Do you know what I mean? Has he actually, before he got baptised, did he repent and say, I'm sorry for watching 6-year-olds on a screen getting severely abused. I'm sorry for referring to a girl I tried to rape as a 6-year-old. And they said, no, he hasn't mentioned any of it. And I said, well, no, I'm not happy. So the church took him in for a meeting about 3 weeks ago. And he was asked, what I told the church, because obviously they knew it happened, because when I first went to church, that was one of the things that I was broken about. So the next thing, he said that it was all lies. He said he was actually in a relationship with me, and he'd walked in the room and I was getting it on with his cousin, and he thought that's what I wanted. Absolute insanity. But obviously he's had a long time to make his story up. But it's just awful. So then I felt like I needed to prove myself to the church and find all these letters out, which I sent to you, Steve.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's brought it all back now, and I'm getting.
I mean, people. See, Emma, people are supposed to feel safe in their own home. Mm-hmm. You know, and these 2 they've destroyed your world. They've destroyed your life.
I can never get out of my head, Steve. I say to Maria, I just wish we could help them kids. But the policeman did say that what I'd explained seemed to be like something on the dark web, which you go down all different places to go to these places to watch stuff like that. And still to this day, the look on them kids' faces horrifies me. And I say to Maria, I wish we could find them kids and help them. But it's horrendous, isn't it?
Emma, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So they went to your church or chapel and they repented, and then afterwards, after admitting
No,
to what?
no. One of them's turned up at my church, which is miles away from where he lives.
Yeah.
I don't even know why he's turned up there. He did say to the church leader he watches me and Brian on YouTube as well, which I found really creepy. Before he got baptized, he didn't repent of any of the things he did to me, or watching children, or on videos, or whatever he was watching. So that's why I said I wasn't happy with the church. They said, how do you feel about him going to church? I said, well, if he's not repented, he's obviously not sorry, is he? And this is what I mean. They're just, how can someone go and get baptized if they're not willing to?
So, Ronan, the thing is, I mean, he's on YouTube. He's got a channel on YouTube, these perpetrators. And they've done nothing but harass Emma. And, you know, to go through that trauma, I mean, you know yourself the effects that, you know, it'll have on that person for the rest of their life. But,
well, the thing about it is, Steve, the thing about it is, right, and Emma, the thing about it is, you've came on with documentation, and you've came on with this, with your story, with your truthful story. For them to go to a chapel or a church,
yeah.
Do you think that there's many people that use many demons, evil people that use the chapel and the church as a way out to sort of make them look better?
Yes, I do. And they also, my church that I was baptized in, it's a massive church. It's got loads of children. It even has a kids area where the children go at a certain time. They're in the service for the first half hour, then they go in the kids area, which is in a separate area. And for him to be referring to me, Ronan, as a 6-year-old and tell Daddy how old you are you 6? Are you going to stay in bed with Daddy all day and PISS in my mouth while Mummy's at work and stuff like that, right? It's horrendous. And what worries me is that he's in a church. He hasn't mentioned any of these things. He's tried to twist it into a way if he was in a relationship with me. At no time was he ever in a relationship with me. And he was in that church around children. So it's just...
Do you think that he's went to that church to target you?
I certainly do, because he hasn't been back since. And he did say when they asked him about it, because obviously my church leader knew, I was telling the truth, knew it happened to me. But obviously there were other elders of the church in there who obviously had to listen to him as well. And he came out with, watch Brian and Emma on YouTube. And I thought, wow, do you know what I mean? And then he's obviously never been back to the church, but then I felt like I needed to prove myself. So I've been through all papers, and thankfully I found what I needed to. Cause even though my church leader knew that I was telling the truth, I felt like the other ones were questioning it, because they were saying, well, even though he isn't admitting it, he can still come to the church, but he'll be chaperoned. And I thought, well, that's not good enough for me. Do you know what I mean? So I sent them all the paperwork, which seems to have brought back that anxiety and that fear again, what I'd got rid of for all them years. I can feel it coming back, and I've had panic attacks. And after it happened, I used to do my thing, like pick the skin on my feet, and I've been doing that again. I woke myself up the other night doing it. So I know that it's brought a lot of things back, having to explain it all, but I would never have thought he would have turned up at the church. But like my leader said, you've got, if he repents of it, would you forgive him? And I went, well, Jesus forgives everyone, but I'd have to if he was genuinely sorry. But I mean, to not even admit it and to totally deny it is unbelievable. But like I say, he hasn't turned back up.
I don't think if anybody repents, I don't think if it's about God if you repent. I understand there's people very religious, and I get that, but
I
Just
don't agree with it neither, Owen, and what you're saying, I agree with.
yeah, but
But
I just feel once that's in you, there's
yeah,
always a chance
it's a
that that's going to
disease.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like a disease that they don't get rid of. I think America has the right way with the castration. Honestly, I do. Them kids that I seen on that video, I'll never ever forget. And I only, they made me, they had it in my face. And I saw literally seconds of it. And I'll never get them kids' faces out my head.
Is he active, Emma? Do you think he's active
I
in
do,
that
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I do. You can't just suddenly be referring to someone and getting turned on by the fact that they're 6 years old and watching stuff like that, can you? And then just all of a sudden it doesn't happen to you anymore. I definitely think he is, yeah.
I mean, another question for you, and I'm sorry to take the questions away from yourself. It's just a
No,
question. It's a question that's came into my head. Do you think these people, some of them, are protected by other entities? I'm not going to say police, but they're protected in life, and that's why they feel like they can
yeah,
target people.
yeah, definitely.
That's crazy, Emma. That's up. I can't fathom in my own head how a person can do that to a woman,
No,
a child, a man.
no.
I just don't understand it.
They had children themselves as well, Ronan.
That's bad.
Like, how can
Well,
you? Like I said to the policeman when I first decided to speak to them and turned up. I said to him, I said, look, I said, if I'm making this bit up about tell daddy how old you are, you're 6. I said, I want locking up. And he went, no, I know, we totally believe you. He said, it's not the first time we've had reports, but I think he'd been remanded prior, a couple of years prior, but threats had gone to the girl's family or something, and she ended up saying she was lying. Different people. I know of 2 others that came forward after hearing me talk, and they came forward and told me the experiences with him. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, how can you just walk in a church and then just expect to just, oh, well, we won't talk about that, we'll just forget about that. But I mean, if I hadn't have been going to that church, it worries me to think that he'd have been around all them innocent children in that church. Do you know what I mean? And
all you can do is bring exposure to it and just notify people. As you say, you've got the documentation, you showed it, and he's, this is the thing. If you have the documentation, a lot of people are out there in situations and they have no documentation and they're going through horrendous things and they don't have anything to back them up. It's the intimidation afterwards. I'm hearing a lot of stories here in the north of Ireland of very similar things. Things that I won't be talking about now, but there's people that are on the internet, just like the guy that you're talking about there, that are active and they're using intimidation tactics with women and kids, and they're using police to back them up. They're using the law to back them up. And what they'll do is they'll just preach. They'll try to preach the Lord, and what they are is just the devil in disguise.
yeah, spot on, totally spot on, absolutely.
You know, and I'm not even religious, but that's what it is.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt, it's definitely demonic. I do not think or do not believe that no matter if he came now and said, I'm so sorry, I do not believe for 1 minute, right, that he would be free of the horrendous things he watches and the horrendous things he does.
He doesn't deserve it, Emma. To be honest.
The church put me in a bit of a corner. I'll say it now. I wasn't happy about it. But Tony, who is our church leader, he's lovely, and he's like a best friend as well. And he went, well, the church is saying like Jesus forgives, so we're on about putting you in a room with him. Yeah, and I think they'd mentioned this to him when he denied it, and he hasn't been back to church. But there's no way in the world I could, even though I am a Christian, I don't feel that I could forgive him, because for what I seen that he was watching, I could never forgive him for them children alone. Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing lower, Emma, is there? There's nothing lower than that. You can't go any lower. It's
No.
you know, and I have to bring a bit of exposure to this.
You
this
can.
this used to be in the dark web, but now it's on the surface web via Telegram. I'm not going to name any names, but I have been speaking to a few people in the north of Ireland that have made me aware of certain Telegram groups that are selling content. Or I'll put it this way: it's their own original content, and the police won't look into it because they say it's got nothing to do with them, because these are all encrypted apps. It's very hard for them to get in. This has moved away from the dark web, and it's now on the surface web via these encrypted apps like Telegram, and it's been sold, it's been used, and these people are doing this. The only thing I could say is they're going to have to, I'm not for censorship, but they're going to have to bring something in here for children that are going through this here, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of children going through this here at the minute, and they need, it's not about refuges, it's about safe people that they can come to away from the police, that can maybe take the next step for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said to the police, I said, I'm not bothered about what's happened to me. I obviously was, after I'd acknowledged that I wasn't well at the time, I had no self-worth, like I said. But I said, all I'm bothered about is them children. Please, can you find them children? And they said, we can't. They go down all these different, I think he said, they go down that many rabbit holes to get to these places that it's actually nigh on impossible for us to trace every single thing that's out there. So that means that there could be numerous of these channels going on. What he was watching was definitely some kind of, like, I'd say some kind of like live streaming, I thought.
How long ago was this, Emma?
It's 7 years ago. 7 years. 7 years it is.
Yeah,
right?
that's, yeah.
And as I say, that man, I'll never forget that man with that pearly king. Because them hats with the buttons on the pearly, is it Lambeth, people? Is it Lambeth in London? They do pearly kings and queens?
Yeah, Lambeth.
Yeah. And it's like, I even went down the stage of like, oh, he must be from Lambeth. I begged Maria, can we find him? You know what I mean, boys? Where do we start?
All I can say is, if there's anybody watching this in the future, speak to somebody, go to the police, because I'm sure there's people watching this that are going through similar things. Any kids shouldn't be watching this, but if there's any women watching this, any men that's going through this, please speak out. Go to the police, speak to a friend, go to somebody that you can trust. Even if it's a church, go to somewhere that you can get this out in the open, because there's too many people feel intimidated that they can't come forward. And it's a very strong thing for you to come out here and be speaking about this, Emma.
Yeah, it's another thing you said there, Ronan. He said, what you're looking disgusted for? He said, I go to Thailand every year and I pay enough money to the families to keep them like in food and stuff all year, and I hire Virgin Girl. If you play your cards right, I could get you a boy. And he was saying all that as he was doing what he was doing. I'll go into detail with you, Ron, and obviously I can't go too far on here, but I'll tell you the full story.
Yeah. It's this is what the problem is. These devils, these what, if you want to call them, demonic creatures, devils, evil people, bad people, they go to these countries that are very poor, and they target vulnerable families that are looking just to put food on the table, and they're doing stuff to the kids, they're doing stuff to the women. And I can't say what I think on here because it's YouTube. What I would say is, if you really want to say the truth, jump over to Rumble, start a live stream in Rumble. Anything goes there. You can speak your truth on Rumble. But I personally believe the eradication of these people is needed.
Yeah, you're right. I'd do anything, Ronan. I'd do anything to be able to find where the children were. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is why I don't trust male, like not male school teachers, but like assistants, male assistants. When I go into my son's school, I make sure I show my presence and to let them know, like, you know, that I'll ask them certain questions away from the females and stuff, because, you know, you have to do that. It doesn't matter if you look like a whack job or not. You could be saving a kid's life just even showing your presence. Turning a blind eye to things isn't the way to go.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Is that Maria?
I say you're such a brave lady, Emma.
It's not. It's I feel.
I'm glad you're speaking up though, because you know there's a lot of females.
Steve, I feel like that I need to, and bring it more to light. As Ronan said, we need to start speaking about it for other people to speak, and to hopefully to stop some of this stuff going on. Because I mean, he wasn't only referring to me as a 6-year-old, but obviously he was looking at 6-year-olds as well. So that was the thing that was getting him turned on, if you like. So I just don't think them people should be allowed to be in places where children are. And obviously he got NFA'd. I had the breakdown as well. It's just awful. But there was obviously enough evidence there, because they wouldn't have paid the criminal injuries out. They said to base it on police evidence and the evidence they have. So I said to the policeman, I said, look, I didn't want the money. I said, why have I got this money? He said, because we know that you're telling the truth. Do you know what I mean? You don't get criminal injuries if you're not telling the truth, obviously, and they're getting NFA'd. But the money meant nothing. I just wanted to help them kids.
Yeah, I mean, something needs to be done here ASAP. Look, I'm just gonna say how I feel here. They're normalizing a lot of shit these days on TV. Yeah. So we need to normalize the comfortability for kids to come out and speak about what they're going through, even if it's something small. I always say this. I had a friend come to me a while back, and he was afraid of his missus saying something about him because she could be like that. She had a wee lie in her. And I says, well, mate, look, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to worry about, because the truth always prevails. Lies never gain traction.
Yeah.
And he trusted me in that. And this is what people need to realize too.
Yeah.
You know, the normalization of things on TV. I was watching a TV program the other day, and I'm just going to say it. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. I'm none of those things. Everybody should be able to come out and be who they were. But this was at 5 o'clock in the day, and my son was watching it. And it was a boy dressed up as a girl kissing another boy on TV. And I thought to myself, what are we normalizing here? Like, what?
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't have him watching a girl and a boy kissing on TV. So why is this on before the watershed? Why is this happening? And there's a normalization of this sexual content and sexual things to do with children.
I've seen it on a few things.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Insanity. Like my mum brought us up. We weren't allowed to swear. If we swore, we got our mouth washed out with soap and water. You see, if there was ever anything came on his TV that was untoward, it got switched off. And I mean, even the policeman said that when I was doing the video evidence, when he was asking where I was getting touched, I actually spelt the words out, because I couldn't even bring myself. And he was saying, no, I mean, you've got to say it. But I said it in the end. But I said it was just where I was brought up. I was a bit of a prude, if you like, in that way. What people would call a prude. But I'm so pleased that I was sheltered from all that growing up. Do you know what I mean?
Now, 100%. Yeah,
it's horrendous.
No, 100%, Emma. And the thing, it's changing though. And even my son, he's 8 years of age. I'm asking him questions. I'm very interested to know what they're teaching him in school. And thank God he goes to a Catholic school. I'm a Catholic, and they don't really teach any of that sort of that gender stuff and all the rest. But and what I'm saying is today, a lot of kids are put through some stuff today, and it's subconsciously going into their head. So if something does happen to them with an adult, they might think it's okay because their cartoons, their TV programs are sort of normalizing certain behaviors that they might deem okay if an adult does to them. So I think you would need to be very careful how we educate kids in this, and it should be your space is your space, and nobody, it doesn't matter who it is, even if it's your mummy and daddy, even if it's your nanny and granda, even if it's your uncle, it doesn't make a difference. Your space is your space, and if anybody does things to you that make you feel uncomfortable, that needs to be talked about and that needs to be said.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I mean, I can remember even that sex education at school. My mum kept me off that day. She was like that, but I found out it was only like later on. I found out she'd been through a bad experience when she was young as well. So that's why she was so on the ball with it, if you like. But I just think a lot of parents now and just allow their kids to be up in the bedroom on them computers, and nobody really knows what they're up to. I mean, it's innocent, could be innocent on a kid's part, but it could be any of these predator people like watching or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like Maria said, it's horrendous, and I just do anything, Ronan, to stop it. And if there's anything you can think of that we can do, or anything I'd do.
There is an app you can download. It's called Family Link, and it's for the phone. And you can, my missus, she's connected. My son's just got his first phone. He's only 8 years of age. He needs it because he needs to contact us. She's got control of all apps being downloaded. She can read messages coming in. She knows she can turn it off. She can do anything with us here. I'm downloading it. I'm going to have control of it too. But she can read. She can see search history. She can see what people are texting him. And this it's all free. It's called Family Link, and you get it with you just type in, if you're making your son an account on Google, just type in his age, or your daughter, just type in her age or his age, and it will come up, do you want to download Family Link? And you will, and it goes on both phones, and you have total control of the phone.
That's amazing, and it's amazing, like you said, it's free, and maybe you should put that on the community page, Steve, what Ronan's talking about. We'll put it on ours as well.
I was actually, before this, I was like, because my wife was up, she was upstairs, and I was like, tell me what that is, because I'm going on with Maria, and she's coming on with all these apps. What's that app that you got? Because she's got it down to a T. She says to me, I'm going to put this on your phone so that I can turn off your phone so you're not on your phone 24/7. Because she literally has the ability to turn off a phone. You can turn it off. You can check where you are 24/7. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant app, like.
And I think
what's the name of that app, Ronan?
Family Link. Family Link. Google Family Link.
And I think all kids should have that on. It should be on all kids' phones, shouldn't it? All parents should be making sure they've got that.
And there's distress. I think there's a distress button on it too. So there's another app I seen, and this is, you can hide this app on your phone, and maybe this would be good for women. And I don't know the name. I'll get the name and I'll give it to Steve. And you download it, right? And maybe just say, Emma, you and your friend will have this app, and your friend can see where you are at all times, and it pings. Right. So, for instance, if you're in distress, it will play a certain ringtone.
Yeah.
And it can be hidden on the phone, like it can be a hidden app. It's not seen, and you can write certain things, like you can have code words, like instead of saying I'm in danger, fancy going out for a cup of tea, and that would be a code word. Please come and get me. Ring the police.
That's a brilliant
question there, Emma. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Ask Emma. Read a church saying they got a Sarah Clare's Law on that rat.
No, they didn't. They tried to get hold of the policeman who was head of the major crime unit, because it was obviously known to them quite prolifically, really. I think for it to be head of major crime unit, that traced the call anyway, and came to the house, and they were the ones that dealt with it. But I've given the name of the policeman, but he's gone on to be a chief inspector now. So I don't know if they've managed to contact him, but Tony kept saying to me, you don't need to explain, I know you're telling the truth. But I felt the other people in the church, I felt really let down by them, because I mean, I'd done an amazing life turnaround, if you like, and I won an Urban Hero Award with the church and stuff. And then I felt like a bit let down that they were still going to allow him into the church, but he'd be chaperoned all the time. So I do feel like disappointed in that side, that I felt like I had to prove myself. They didn't ask me to prove it, do you know what I mean? But I just felt that I needed to. And that's when I found all the paperwork.
How does that test your faith in God, Emma, whenever your own church is sort of putting you in those positions?
To be truthful, I went through, like, I resented the church when I was looking for these letters, and I was frantically looking for them, and I was going through all these different bags, because at that time I wouldn't open mail or nothing, and I just put it all in bags, and I still had the bags all with all the letters unopened and different things. And I was saying to Maria, I need to find a letter or something, and I found one of them. The first one that I found was 2 seconds. I'll put the light on now. 2 seconds, just put the light on. Right, the first one that I found was from, it's like a place where the police, if anyone's been raped or sexually assaulted, it's like a organisation. And I found that, and that's what I found. I thought, I can't hand that in. Do you know what I mean? And then the next thing I found, obviously, the whole criminal injuries thing, if you can see that.
So that's that's your documentation for the criminal injuries.
Yeah, but you've both got permission to use this. If you want to read that out, Steve, what it says, you've got a copy, haven't you?
Yep, 2 seconds, and I'll.
I can't comment on any of that, because I have no clue about the law or criminal injuries or any of that, so I wouldn't have a clue. But I'm sure it goes without saying, if you received a criminal injuries, was it a claim or something, like a criminal injuries claim?
When the police, when you've reported something like this and you've done the video evidence and stuff, obviously it's a crime. So it says,
as requested in your application, I have made this decision based solely on your application and the police evidence. You claimed for a single incident of sexual assault by 2 offenders within your home. Within your police statements, you described the nature of the incident, which included digital penetration. In view of this, I have made the above award in respect of a severe non-penile penetrative or oral genital act as the most appropriate from the tariff of injuries in the 2012 scheme. And the other thing I just want to touch on, Emma, I hope you don't mind, is the after effect, because it's very, very important, this, because what the survivors suffer, and what Emma's actually been through. With Emma's permission, can I read the after effects of the suffering that you've been through because of this?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
I'm writing with Emma's permission to disclose that she has recently been involved in an ongoing serious police investigation as a result of a recent sexual offence. In order to help to cope with this, Emma is registered with ARCH, where she is in receipt of our independent sexual violence advisory service for ongoing support throughout the investigation. Emma's mental health. Now, this is very important, people. Emma's mental health symptoms have intensified greatly to include panic attacks and feeling unable to leave her home alone. As a result of the above, I believe Emma to be unable to cope with employment at this time due to her daily struggle to manage her mental and emotional well-being independently of support. In the light of this, I fully support Emma in her application for. I am available to discuss matters further should you wish to contact me with the details outlined. And the important part on that is, when I think somebody goes through this, I mean, I haven't been through it. I mean, so I can't sit and say I know exactly what you've been through, because I'd be lying. But this is what the effects of these nasty, dirty, fucking disgusting people, that inflict upon the survivors of their actions. What they don't consider, it's not just a moment. It's not going to last for a month and go away. This is for life. And with what Emma's been through, and she's still going through, and she will do for the rest of her life, and you've heard it there in evidence. This is how it affects people's lives, and this is what these dirty perpetrators don't stop for a moment to think. Now, I was having a little conversation with myself on a live I done yesterday about sentencing guidelines for this sort of crime and criminal behaviour, because I believe, if anybody does anything like this, sexually to an adult, rape to an adult, to a child, right, there's only one sentence I believe that will fit that crime, and that's life. Life in prison, because what the survivor goes through is for the rest of their life. So I believe that whoever commits these nasty, hideous offences deserves life imprisonment, regardless.
The policeman did say, Steve, he said, I know he will do it again. He went, I am 100% sure he will do this again and be brought to justice.
See, the scary thing about this, Emma, is he could go on to something more. He can go on to murder somebody from this.
I know.
I class it the same, Steve, as murder. That you're murdering a child's soul. You're feeding off it. These people. This isn't for me. I'm looking at this here as a bloke, right? And I'm trying in my own brain to sort of to try to even think, and I can't, because I'm physically sick. And this is a thing. This is the thing. There's some people born. And I don't know. I don't even think it's a human thing. I think they feed off. They feed off this. It gives them some type of energy. It gives them something. But I don't know how you wake up in the morning. I couldn't. I would be if I can't even speak. I couldn't. I don't understand.
You can't understand it, can you, Ronan?
No.
You can't understand how anybody can look at innocent children like that. It's like you say, it's no words. I can't even describe it.
There's no word in the dictionary to even come close to describing them.
Innocent babies, yeah. Do you know?
The logic is, Steve, look, the thing about it is, I don't understand. This is what I don't get, right? It's a very, I understand that some people can find themselves in a situation where they didn't do something and there's been a fake allegation. I'm sure that's happened many a time, right? But what I don't get is, right, people with multiple accusations, they can sit on a screen and portray to the public that, oh, they're innocent, I don't know one, I know one man with one allegation, and I know he didn't do that, and that was over a woman, and that man still hasn't been in a relationship to this day because he can't, because he physically can't trust
Right.
people. And this lady went on to make another allegation about another completely separate fella, and he didn't do that either, right? So I can understand that one, but if you're dealing with people with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're on Sarah's and Claire's laws, and there's things coming out about them, I don't get. It must be the highest level of narcissism to be able to sit on a screen and say, "This is all fake," and knowing that you did these things.
Do you know what? I'd love to find out who this perpetrator is, and I'd love to get him on the fucking live.
Mm.
I really, really, really
can-
would. I mean, if that's the least I could do, I would love to, get him on the fucking live and, make him understand,
Mhm.
If words can't describe how he is as a person, I mean, again, that's where I say that the sentencing guidelines need to change. When these guys commit these nasty, hideous offences, they need life. They need to get lifed off.
Yeah,
Need
definitely.
to get lifed off, regardless of what anybody else thinks in the world. Because, like you said, Ronan, they're taking a soul. They're taking that person's life away. So why can't that judge give that perpetrator life in prison?
Castration and lifed off, definitely.
Yeah,
And this is the thing. I'm not talking about just. I'm not just. I understand that there's people out there that'll be listening to the same. But what if the person's innocent? Because there's people that've been convicted of this and they're innocent, and it's been a whole thing. I understand that. I'm not just talking about the first person who gets one allegation. I'm talking about if you have multiple allegations and
yes,
you're being caught with this all the time, and there's nothing the police can do. The best thing they can do for that person is castration and then lifed off, because that person is
yeah.
not going to contribute to society.
Hold on a minute. The man who did this to Emma supports war cry, fake author.
Yeah, and he's actually in one of the books as well, on
I've got his
a
name.
chapter on lead.
I've got his name. I've got his name now.
Mm.
You little bastard! If you're watching this live, God's gonna strike you hard. You're gonna get life inside.
Mhm.
God's gonna make sure to that one.
Right.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you that much,
he
little
did.
bastard.
He said to the church that he was in a relationship with me, and like I said, he was with his cousin. So his cousin was. Why didn't his cousin say, "What the hell are you talking about?" to him, as he was referring to me as a 6-year-old, as he was ripping my clothes off? So obviously they've done it before, or they've Scrappy, stop it. Sorry, the dog's in the way. But his cousin didn't look horrified or shocked by it. He went on to it. I thought, hey, Scrappy, stop it. I just let him out a minute, 2 minutes. I think once a week.
Ronan, incidentally, quickly, I
Yeah.
learned of something today. I was at the car boot,
Mm-hmm.
4 o'clock this morning, and
Yeah.
there was this couple going around the car boot handing out leaflets. So, I stopped. I looked at the leaflet, and it was a perpetrator not far from where I live. His name was Kyle Wood.
Right.
And the reason why I'm mentioning this because I've read the leaflet and I've heard and I've known, what's been going on with this Kyle Wood. He enticed a 13-year-old for sexual activity, and the two people that ran these leaflets out round the car boot was the parents. And I said, I know your face, and I said, I read this leaflet. I said, about 2 months ago, I said, I came across this incident, and what's happened is he's gone to court, right? And he's got charged. He's gone to court, and he's admitted guilt on 4 sexual activity charges. 3 for taking indecent images of a 13-year-old, and 4 for having child pornography on his computer or phone. And I mean, if that weren't enough to anger me on the spot, you know, because I know the guy's door, and the parents went to court. Right now, this is the part, you know, I've had to you know, speak to somebody, because, you know, the parents went to court, and you know when they've given him his sentence, right? The mum and the dad looked at the young girl, 13, right, and said, how pathetic of you making up lies. And the guy went guilty
So his mum and dad said that about her.
His mum and dad, right, said to the 13-year-old, how pathetic of you making up these lies. But yet the son pleaded guilty to the offences. And
Do you know what? Do you know what, though, Steve? I'm not going to be too harsh on the parents. Just hypothetically say that the parents are just two innocent people, and they've just the mum gave birth to an evil bastard that doesn't deserve to walk on this planet, and they can't even fathom what this guy's capable of, and they're thinking that their precious little boy wouldn't do anything like this. So the mechanisms inside their brain would be saying, "Oh, she's lying," even though he's confessed and he's pled guilty.
he confessed
You know,
to nine or 10 charges it was, and I had no choice. I had to phone a couple of 15-year-olds, you know, and I said, you know where the door is, you know, make God strike that door down.
but the thing about it is, Steve, is I'm trying to be sympathetic towards his parents, because you just don't know. They could be, that's their life destroyed too. Not only did he destroy a little girl's life, but he's destroyed his mum and dad's life.
Yeah.
2 seconds. I'll just see if I can find the leaflet. I'll just be back.
Do you know what I mean, Emma? It's
Yeah.
not, and I understand that there's the initial thing that he's done, that he's actually the main point, that he's destroyed a little girl's life, and that should be highlighted and put up there for her. She gets the full support, but he's also destroyed his mum and dad's life.
Of course
Do
he
you know
has.
what I mean?
Of course he has. Of course he has. I mean, that is horrifying as well, to think that your child is capable of going up and doing something like that. It must be horrendous for the parents, and they'll be in denial, won't they? Like you said, they'll be thinking, well, can't deal with that, so it's my son, and I'm obviously...
Boundaries are definitely needed. Boundaries need taught to kids from a very young age. Do you know what I mean? To look at this, what is that like? What? Look at this. Put him up there on the screen there. Let me see his face.
This is what I got handed. Ronan, it's on my Facebook. That's what I got handed, this leaflet at the car boot. So where people are telling me, should Dodgy Dave be going around handing out leaflets? Yes, because this is an example of what this family's had to do to bring awareness. Now, the car boot is in a town called Wolverhampton. And from Telford to Wolverhampton, you're talking probably about 14, 15 miles away. It's like the next county up from Telford. Now, for every person that said, oh, Dave shouldn't be doing out leaflets and that, but I believe that this is the way forward, because for this family in Telford, you know, to go leaflet in Wolverhampton, you know, it just goes to show you, you know, that, you know, actions speak louder than words. But sorry for interrupting there, Emma.
I have to play devil's advocate though, Steve. I just have to play devil's advocate for 2 seconds, and then I'll shut my mouth, right? But just say, for instance, you can only do that whenever you have a subject access request or legitimate proof. I wouldn't be, for instance, you know, there'll be a lot of people who'll be listening to this here that might hate somebody, because I'm speaking to a lot of, you know, paedophile hunting groups, and they're telling me the amount of phone calls they would get on a Friday and Saturday night from men and women that have just came out of relationships that broke up with their partner, and they want them put all over the internet as pedos, and they're not. So we'll have to be very clear. It's not just about handing out leaflets. It's handing out leaflets with as you say, with people like Emma, who had documentation, subject access requests, admissions, evidence, and things like that, because we don't want to live in a free for all where somebody can just be destroyed over nothing either. We'll have to make that clear.
Yeah.
I mean, Emma didn't even need to produce any evidential paperwork.
No, but I would rather, because it's so easy.
You know, but for the naysayers out there and the idiots that are, you know, thinking it's made up, well, it's not. You know, this is a serious subject.
But because he didn't get charged and because he was NFA'd, I feel that I should put some kind of evidence up there if I'm going to speak about it, because you've, like Ronan said, you've got to be sure, haven't you, that things have happened. So I've got no problem putting that up, and I hope that it stops. Well, you know about it now. I'll obviously tell Ronan, and he can join him on our group thing. But it just, you have to keep an eye on these people, don't you? Because obviously, like say, he's on the internet still. So
the thing is, he's still on the platform that you enjoy using. You know, so to me, that's a kind of torment, and he needs to be left and run off YouTube.
Yeah. Well, when he was
saying run off YouTube.
Well, when he was saying that he'd been in a relationship with me, and he went to get a bath. At no point has he ever been in my house for a bath. He actually said, like I said, he'd been fighting and could he get washed? So I said, let me go upstairs and get, and that's when he followed me up, as I said. But I was thinking more like the police were going to be waiting for him, Ronan, at his house in Gisborne, because it was some miles. So I was thinking, does he want to wash his hand? Thinking that way of any, you know, if they've been fighting or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't think for 1 minute that they'd purposely come to the house to do that to me, which they had. But because the police found out he'd been fighting in Gisborne where he's from. So that's a different town altogether. So they'd actually got in a taxi, him and his cousin, to purposely come to my house. The police found out. Like, that's
I'd love nothing better than to put this cunt's fucking name out, but you know, legally I can't. You know.
And there's another question I have for Emma, right? Because it's not ironic that we're speaking about this, because there's always there's always stories like this. But it's
only a cigarette, but I don't want it smoke.
I'm just about to roll the fag.
Yeah, I'm smoking away with this. But ironically, I was speaking to a lady last week, and we were having this conversation, and she was telling me she was in a past relationship and the guy wasn't a good guy. And I says, well, why did you break up with him? She says, well, he was very controlling, just the normal sort of controlling stuff. I says, well, did he do anything? Was he physically violent? Yes, he was physically violent. He would take me hundreds of miles away and keep me in places because he didn't want me speaking to other men. I couldn't even go out to the shop. And I says, was that it? Like, was there anything else? And she says, well, people are saying that I was raped. And I says, well, what do you mean? And she says, well, he would force me to do things I wouldn't want to do. And I says, well, you were raped then. That's
definitely, yeah.
People need to realize, if there's a woman out there listening, if a man forces you to do something that you don't want to do sexually, that is the definition of rape. That is rape. You shouldn't.
Yeah, whether you're married to him, whether you're in a relationship, whatever.
And if the woman says no, whether it's the girlfriend or the wife, no means no.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to them too, I managed to run out of the bedroom, by the way, after about an hour and a half of all this madness going on with him and his cousin. So I ran out of the bedroom, ran into the street and into the alley, and thought it's going to be light soon and I'm going to be safe, if you like. He still stayed in that house until the next morning when my friends went in and said, look, you're going to have to go. So that's how confident he was. More like just laid there, like upstairs in the bedroom. It's like insanity. But they'd definitely done it before. Even the way they ripped my clothes off me, I knew that they'd been in that situation before. When he sent his cousin out of the room and said, oh, let me calm her down, let her stay with Daddy and let Daddy calm her down, you go down the stairs. So he said, turn the light off, and that's when the light had gone off. And then all of a sudden I was like petrified, just looking at feeling like that. And I seen a light come in, and you know your own house and you know where the light comes from. And I knew that the door had opened. And then I seen his cousin crawling around the bed with no clothes on. And that's when they were both trying to touch me at the same time. And I was just trying to get hands off me. So
that's like a family thing then that they're into.
yeah,
That's like the Hills of Eyes.
I know, type of stuff in it. But his cousin, when I reflected back on it, his cousin didn't look shocked that he was saying, "Tell Daddy how old you are. Tell him how old you are. You're 6. Are you gonna stay in bed with Daddy all day and do it?" It's like he didn't look shocked at all. So you could, this obviously scenario had been talked about or done before. There was no shock or horror. Like, say if any other man would have gone, "What are you talking about? Is she 6?" And then at that point you would have then, do you know what I mean? But he
Very well spotted, Emma. Very well spotted. You spotted the fact that they were comfortable in that situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
that's mental.
And then he was the one, when I ran downstairs, he was the one that said, "I'm sorry." Followed me down, said, "I'm sorry. I'm going to leave now." I said, "I'm not coming back in the house." I said, "You need to take him with you." And he said, "Oh, he won't leave." Because I was stood like in the middle of the road, and he was inside my doorstep. So I was out of my own house, not wanting to go back in. And he tried to say, "Sorry, I'm going through a bit of a bad time." Whatever garbage came out of his mouth, but he left, and then he refused to leave. So
he tried to make excuses for his actions.
what the cousin did. The cousin, he said, "I'm going through a bit of a bad time, and I'm sorry if it upset you." That was the exact word.
I mean, there's going through a bit of a bad time, hitting the drink and maybe having a fight, and maybe ending up in the drunk tank for a night. But then there's that. That's not going through a bad time. That's seediness.
Serious, I know.
That's crazy, Emma. That's crazy. And massive respect for you to come out and speak about this here. It takes a lot of courage. People don't realize that. You know, it's good. It's easy for us. We're men sitting here in the panel right now, and we're listening to this. But for a woman to come out and be able and to speak about this and have the courage, you have my respect. And you know, hopefully that you encourage more women that have went through this, and maybe children themselves that have went through this to come out.
Children or any women, even if they want to speak to me or anything, I'm always there. If anyone contacts you, Steve, I'll always speak to anybody. If anyone wants.
I've got so much respect for you, and you know, you're one of the strongest ladies that I've ever met, alongside Dot. You know, the pair of you are equal, you know, in strength, in character. And I'm hoping, if anything, from this, more females can find it deep within themselves, you know, to speak up, even if it's to tell a friend, like Ronan was saying. You know, don't keep it inside to yourself no more.
No.
You have to speak up, even if it's your mum, you know, or your best friend, or a doctor. You know, please speak up. Find that little bit extra courage, you know, and please speak up.
There's no shame. There's no shame in any of this. There's no shame.
It helped me speaking again tonight because, like I said, I thought I was free of it when I went to church. Because I had a total mental breakdown. I tried to take my own life after it. And I ended up going to church and ended up feeling great and all that. So I thought it had gone.
See, I was a little bit worried at first, Emma, because I didn't want anything to trigger you.
No, it's fine. And then, as I say, with him turning up again these years later at the church, and then seeing that he watches us on YouTube and stuff like that, I have got anxiety back really bad again. I think you can hear it in my voice when I'm speaking.
Yeah, you can. You can hear it in your voice a little bit, Emma. But
there's also a message for you, Emma.
But I
Kelly's put a message
I'm
up for
feeling
you.
better and stronger already for
Yeah.
speaking out about it. Do you know what
There's
I mean?
too many people watching now. There's too many people who've listened to your story. There's too many people that support you for anything for that person to have any more of an effect on your life. So, you know, you have to take comfort in that there is good people in the earth that.
Yeah, he is, of course he is.
You
and
know.
I think, like I said, I do want to thank you for letting me on and speaking, because
it's a privilege to have you on, because, you know, the last thing I ever wanted to do was, you know, for you to talk about it and be triggered. You know, that was the last thing that
I was really bad a couple of weeks ago. As I woke myself up and I picked the skin off my feet that bad it was bleeding. I woke myself up doing it.
I'm
and
hoping you're such an inspiration. Sorry, you're an inspiration. You know, for speaking up. You know, and telling the people. You know, your message is loud and clear. You know, females don't have to suffer in silence no more.
No, definitely not.
Do you, Emma? Sorry,
anybody out there going through it, please get in contact with Emma.
Steve, there's just one last question for Emma, and I hope I'm not being too forward here, and you don't have to answer this, but you says to me like you were picking skin and you were bleeding. That's a form of self-harm. So you're self-harming. Do you fit?
Yeah. That's exactly, and that's what happened after it originally happened to me. I used to pick the skin on my feet afterwards for about 9 months or 10 months after it. And then I woke myself up on a sofa the other night, and I was doing that same thing that I hadn't done since that time. But this was because it'd all been brought up at the church. And I was looking for the letters, I think, and I'd allowed it all back in. I thought, what's he doing at the church? There's children and beautiful, innocent children in that church. And I was like in a panic, and I think I have let a little bit of fear and anxiety back in. But yeah.
It's okay to have fear and anxiety. They're all natural things to be feeling. And it's okay to go through, that saying it's okay not to be okay. There's never a truer saying. I don't want it to be just a generic thing that people say, but it is true, and people need to realize that that every day is a new day, and that people mean something, and you're worth something, and it doesn't matter who you are, unless you're a person that's harming women and kids in that way. You're worth something on this planet, and you're needed on this planet, and whatever bad times people are going through, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Totally. Yeah.
Steve and Emma, I'm gonna have to shoot on here, but it was a pleasure sharing the panel with you, Emma.
Yeah,
and Steve.
With you.
Anytime, Ronan, you're my brother.
Steve, gentleman, thank you for letting me on, mate, and good luck, Emma, and I'll speak to you soon, Emma.
Okay, speak soon, Ronan.
Bye.
Take it easy, Ronan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, the big message, I think, is, females don't have to suffer in silence.
No.
Emma's a prime example of inspiration, to allow me the privilege for Emma, to speak up on the subject. And I just didn't really want it to trigger you at any stage or point.
No, it doesn't. I just feel, Steve, that there's a lot of these women that have been abused, or children that have been abused and not believed, and I was watching a thing the other morning. I'd woken up and it was like the news was on, and they have like a story, and there was a girl who had been at a party, and she woke up and she knew she'd been raped. They tried to say to her that she had this rare sleep disorder, where she might have been aware in her sleep, because she told the police that she had a deep sleeping. The parents couldn't wake her up once she was asleep, so they tried to say she had this rare disorder where she might have given off signals that she was fine with what was going on. At the moment, I think it's on the news. She's suing the CPS at the moment, and appealing it all and stuff. But I thought, great, 'cause I thought there's so many people that don't get charged and this doesn't happen. And do you know what I mean? And I just feel that if it has happened to you, you've got to speak out and you've got to like really, really appeal it. I said to Brian the other day, I said, I'm even thinking about appealing the NFA, really, after seeing that girl on there. Because obviously the evidence was sufficient enough for the Criminal Injuries Board and for the police. But obviously it wasn't for the CPS. So
I think that's why a lot of women don't speak up, you know, because for fear of people not believing them, for fear that CPS is going to chuck it under the mat, for the fear of the police failing the victim and survivor.
yeah, he was gutted, that policeman, like he said the CPS, when it had gone to the CPS, he said he'd had problems on a murder case previously with this lady out of the CPS. And he said when she started saying, well, whose hands were actually doing what at what time, if which one was doing it. And he said it was in the dark. She couldn't see. She was getting her hands off her. Do you know what I mean? And to say, well, we can't really go forward because of that is horrendous, really.
I think the other thing that needs to change is the percentage of rape cases that actually go forward to the CPS from the police.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, at the moment it's a low figure, isn't it? And you know, that's just not good enough. And
I didn't know you could appeal, or you could appeal a decision. That girl had appealed the decision. They'd got an independent sleep person in. He said, well, you do go in a deep sleep, so there's no evidence of this thing, what they call it. I think it was sleep, something mania it was called.
Sleep deprivation, like where they...
No, it was where people go into like a deep sleep and things can happen. It's some madness. But this girl said, I definitely haven't got that. She said, nah, it hasn't happened. Do you know what I mean? So she's appealing it all, and I think now she's suing the CPS. For it. You'll have to get it up. It was on the BBC News the other morning, and it followed a story from the start to the finish. So,
I believe it's the failings. See, what I believe is you got the foot soldier police, you know, that are doing everything in their power.
Yeah.
You know, and they want to sling the book at these bloody people.
Yeah.
But what I've found in my findings, I mean, you know, just within the Telford grooming gang situation, but it applies all over the country, is the police foot soldiers, you know, wanting to sling the book at these people. But from what I understand, it's their upper crust people, like the inspector or chief inspector. They're the people that are just chucking it under the carpet.
Yeah.
And I believe the percentage needs to go up for the cases that go to the CPS, because at the moment it's something stupid like 1% or 2%.
Yeah.
You know, that's why so many of these perpetrators are getting away, because of the failings.
Yeah. He was convinced that he was a detective at the time. He was convinced that he had him this time. He was convinced, and he said when she was talking to me on the phone, the woman from the CPS, he said, I was hitting my hands that hard on the desk. And he said, I was going to phone you and tell you. He said, I've had to come out and tell you. He was like, you could see he was absolutely gutted that I'd obviously been through the rigmarole of the video evidence and stuff like that, and obviously let down. He said, I can assure you, though, he will do it again.
And it's something stupid like, you know, they need 70% before the CPS will consider to take it on. I mean, that's ridiculous, because if you fall into that bracket of 60%, in my eyes, every single rape case, you know, should be taken on.
Of course.
You know, when lose or draw, they need to be shown that they're doing something serious to help these survivors and victims of this crime.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, if you, I was horrified, and I knew, as I say, I knew he'd called round with no clothes on the other one. So he like came from the bottom of the bed, and then he got the main one was up where I was on the bed, and then it was like the both at exactly the same time. Touch. I was trying to get hands off me, and so how do you know which one's hands were touching where at what time? They
Yeah,
were
but see,
both doing
yeah,
it.
to me,
They
these are
both
little, to
they
me,
were
they're
both
little
doing
small
it, and
things because they're both. Say there's both in the room, right? They should both be charged.
yeah, both be charged definitely.
You know, because you might not be able to say specifically which hand was doing what of what person.
They both
Right?
participated.
They were in that room doing it, so they
Yeah.
both need to get
They
charged.
both ripped my clothes off. It was like they did that where one pulled that side and the other one pulled that side. I had like pajama short things. Because at first I was blaming myself for answering the door in a pajama all-in-one shorts, and I thought, you can't keep blaming yourself for that, Emma. It's nothing about that. They were wrong what they've done. Do you know what I mean? Because you go through different feelings after it happens, and you start thinking, is that my fault? And it wasn't. But I had a terrible feeling inside when they came, and I said, wait there, and I'll go and get you soap and a towel. And then when they started coming behind me on the stairs, and it was really narrow, and both big lads. I mean, the main one was supposed to be a bit of a cage fighter, this, that, and the other, and he was quite a big lad. And it was like, you know what it reminded me of, Steve? Have you ever seen The Elephant Man?
Yeah.
Do you know where they bustle him in that crowd? And they're passing him from one. And that's exactly what was going on until they got me into the room. And that's the only way I remember, if I visualize it, it's like that scene out The Elephant Man. It's like, I felt like I was like that. Until, yeah. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on him, won't we? Yeah.
Yes, certainly. I mean, but it just, I mean, looking into this Telford one, it's exactly the same. I mean, the failings of the police, you know, because of percentages. What the fuck? Take it to the CPS and let them decide. You know, don't let the inspector say, "Oh no, we're not having that one. We're not having this one. Oh, we'll do that one." See, the police in Telford.
CPS that thing he did, it wasn't the actual police. And give them the due. Afterwards, the support I got from that Arch North East and the support I'd got off him from the major crime unit to get moved back home, because they'd moved me. They thought he was that dangerous, because obviously, like I said, he was supposed to be a bit of a fighter, this, that, and the other. They'd warned all the police in Redcar when they were going to do it, this arrest, and then they decided that I needed to be moved, so they moved me to Middlesbrough, and I was like really scared there because I didn't really know many people and stuff, and I was like forever thinking I'd be outside of found where I live or whatever, but yes, so then obviously I needed to be home and with family and friends, and they helped me with all that afterwards, and they were so disappointed, but that was the CPS that thingied mine. But as it says on the criminal injuries thing there, it says police evidence. So,
See, that's what I don't understand, because the police have just made themselves look like complete fools, because, you know, on the right hand, they're saying it's happened, right? They believe it's happened, right? Because they've got the evidence and they've stated it in black and white. But then on the other hand, they're saying, well, I can't give it to the CPS and take it through court, but I'll give you some money.
well, it was the CPS that were actually saying to the police, we need to know which one has done what it said on that letter. Which one's hands? And he said, well, how would she know? It was dark. there was two people touching her at the same time. And that was one of the things she said. I had a total meltdown then. Just cracked up because I just thought, oh, what was the point in all that? Because it took me all my time to really speak to them. I tried to do it anonymously because I wasn't bothered about me. I was just bothered about them kids and their kids, because they've both got children. So if they're looking at things like that and referring to me, as like told Daddy, it was make me feel sick that they have children. What on earth's going on? Do you know what I mean? But crazy.
I mean, and to think that person, you know, can torment you, and you know, come onto a YouTube platform and rub it under your nose. I think, you know, something needs to be done about that.
Mm.
You know, I've got
It
a name.
disturbed me, Steve, when he said, what did he say to the church? He said,
because for as long as he's around, you're going to still keep reliving that moment, and it's not fair on you at all.
yeah, crazy, isn't it? But he hasn't been back to church, so that makes me think even why he only did it, because I mean it was plastered all over Facebook, which church I went to. So why would he choose that church out of all the churches?
And why would he choose even to go near a church door? Because God will strike him.
I know.
He won't be allowed into the kingdom of God.
No,
You know, no matter how much God says that He forgives everybody, you know, deep down I know there's something within God Himself, you know, that isn't going to forgive somebody, you know, that like that at all, because you know they've got to repent their sin first. That means admitting, admitting what they've done.
Am I allowed to name it? It's positive vibes there. Am I allowed to? Because it happened to me, or
Yeah.
Yeah, he was called Anth Walls, and his cousin was called Michael Hayden. But Anth Walls, and he's on YouTube. I'm not even bothered if I get into trouble saying it. It happened to me, and that's that. They did that to me in my own home.
You know, fuck YouTube. I'll send them cunts an email. But Emma, man, I don't know what to say. I'm gobsmacked.
What time is it?
I think we've been on for about an hour and a half. It's about 10 to 9 now.
Right, I'm on a live Brian at 9. So,
man, this is gonna. I mean, after I done the podcast with Alex, you know, it took me a couple of days to chew over what was said, and I mean, sat here now, I'm thinking this is going to take me a year, you know, to sink in my brain, because that's. I mean,
I'll tell you in more detail, Steve.
But you're ever such a brave lady, and I put you right alongside Dot. And the best message that you've given today, you know, it is to help other people out there that are silent. You know, you've given them now the inspiration, you know, to speak up. You know, even if it's to tell a friend, you know, they can look at this and re-look over it. And the inspiration that they can take from you is what you've said here today. You know, and they need to speak up too. Yeah. And Emma's message is strong, and it's serious.
Yeah.
And I hope for all you females out there, you know, please just, you know, speak up, please. You know.
Yeah, and anybody can contact me, or if they need to contact me, they can I'll give you consent to give anybody my contact details if they want to speak to me first.
What I'll do, I'll leave Emma's channel in the description, and like Emma said, you can approach Emma, and she's ever such a lovely lady, and her husband, I mean, he's out of this world. You know, the best couple that I've come across.
But the thing is, you've just reminded me there, because the author, right, me and Brian were just together And he said, "Oh, is Emma listening?" So obviously, somebody says that, you're going to listen even more, aren't you? And Brian went to take him off loudspeaker, and I said, "No, put him on loudspeaker." And he went, "Oh, Aunt Walter's phoned up asking if you'll sign a picture for his gym shop, right?" But the author knew, obviously. So I think that him asking the author that was obviously him testing the water to see if I told Brian about it. Yeah. Because why would you even ask for, like, Brian to do a picture for your shop like that? And then, as I say, he's come to the church and he's admitted watching us on YouTube. Weird, isn't it?
I mean, sometimes, I mean, you know, some of the stuff that I've heard and had to listen to mentally within some of the stuff I do, like within my hometown.
Yeah.
It takes me ages for me to clear that out of my mind because it's mentally draining sometimes, you know, from...
Yeah.
And for this couple, I mean, today, to hand me that leaflet, you know, because I looked at them and I thought, oh, I know your faces. You know, I goes, you guys are from Telford.
Yeah.
And when they said, oh, let me give you these leaflets, you know, I thought, what's this? What are you selling? You know,
Yeah.
my first thought. And then when I've looked at it and I recognised the name because a couple of months ago, he was already on my target list. And
Yeah.
when I spoke to the
It's right.
couple,
People do need to be aware of people that are
yeah,
guilty of this, don't they? It's
yeah, and I mean, you know, the facts are there. You know, the evidence is there. You know, if anybody wants to doubt anything tonight, you know, ask me or ask Emma. You know, and they gratefully show you the black and white paperwork that
you've
you...
got my full consent to put that up on your community page.
Yeah, well, what I'll do, I'll put that up either later on or first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, and if anybody's got any doubts, then you know they can view that.
I think they give me the for the severest non-penetrational thing. Oh, it explains it on there. People will see. But yeah, so thank you, Steve, and I'll better go and get food.
Emma, it's a privilege. You better jump off, and you got a live to do.
I want this back before he comes down. He hates the smell of smoke, and I felt terrible for smoking it on screen, and I'm like, oh. Right, so you take care, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, you take it easy. Thank you, Emma.
Right, thank you. Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What do I say? I mean, that's you know, that's a lot to take in, and if that's just me speaking about you know, listening, taking it all in, you know, just imagine what Emma's gone through. You know, sat where I am now, I can honestly say, like, if I was in them shoes, you know, I don't think I could carry on another day, you know, but you know, that just makes me weak, you know. But this is the problem with it all, you know. There are women, you know, there are young girls, you know, that are taking their lives through this, you know, and some of it's on the lines that, you know, people are not going to believe them. And you know, when you've got a police force that are only accepting like 1% of these sort of cases, you know, I believe more should be done. You know, that 1% needs to be turned into at least 50%. Take care, positive vibes. Thanks for thanks for listening. I'm just gonna, wind myself down with speech and for probably the next couple of minutes and try and take in, this show tonight. It's deep, but yeah, massive respect to Emma, for coming on, and being brave, to get her story out there and to be able to speak about it. Much love and respect to Brian and Emma. They're going through the mill, and the hurtful thing here is the perpetrator's still on a YouTube platform, still within reach to intimidate and rub it under Emma's nose. I think that's disgusting. And that's something. Maybe that just needs looking into. People, thank you ever so much for tuning in, and it's been a good show tonight, and I'm hoping to bring some more podcasts like this, but these messages need to get out, and I can't just sit here and explain to you guys. You need to speak up. You need to talk to somebody. It needs to be coming from somebody that has experienced that in their life. And I was a bit worried to this triggering Emma, and that's what was worrying me more than anything. But Emma's such a strong lady, and like I say, there's many people out there, but then when it's somebody that that's gone through that, I can't say that I could sit there and talk about it the same way that Emma has, and the same way that Dot has, but I've got the full evidence. I've got the full black and white paperwork, to back every single word that Emma said, but this is one of them cases that the police failings again, and I can understand now why females are reluctant to come forward, for fear of them not being believed. These authorities need to realise their errors and their mistakes and rectify them, and do more. And the perpetrators, they need, like I was saying earlier, my thoughts, they need locking up for life, because what they do, they destroy lives. I'm just glad and thankful that Emma's been strong enough to come on and bring the story to the platform. And I felt so privileged when Emma said she'd like to come on my platform to do that. I mean, that makes me feel that I'm doing something to help the next person, and to think that Emma trusts me enough to get her story out there. This is what I should have been doing last year. Instead of getting involved with fucking idiots, dirty, disgusting people. And even I got manipulated, just like everybody else. But I woke up and smelt the roses, and this to me is my way and my foot forward. For bringing awareness. I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. It's been a great show tonight, and big up to Ronan as well. Thank you, Ronan. I'd also like to say a massive thank you out there to hashtag Team Mian BKB. I will put these links in the description. So if you want to get in contact with Emma, even if it's just for a chat, she's been through the same thing as what you guys probably have out there in your room and are in, whether to speak up and speak to somebody, and speaking with a female that's gone through the same thing, it might be easier for you to to speak up. Massive respect to everybody in the chat, and massive thank you for everybody that tuned in to listen to this podcast tonight. I'm going to wrap it up there, guys, because I need to I need to go away and think, and chew over everything that's been said here tonight. So thanks ever so much, guys, for tuning in, and massive thank you to my subs, to my mods, and to everybody that contributed in the chat. Take it easy, guys. Until the next one. Thank you.